All right, so um, government contracts, blanket purchase agreement specifically. Want to get a handle on the Ascend BPA, and you've sent us some big documents here.
Yeah, it's really easy to kind of get lost in all this, so we're going to try and cut through all the jargon. We'll figure out, what's actually important when it comes to working with Ascend.
Yeah, for sure. And we're looking at excerpts from a couple of these. Let's see, Draft SAM 2023-12, Ascend BPA Appendix XX abbreviations and acronyms,
Okay.
and Draft SAM 2023-12 Ascend BPA Attachment XX invoice formats. I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty intense.
Yeah, no, I get it. These documents, they're really the framework for how businesses like yours can provide those services to the government through Ascend.
Right.
It's like a pre-approved shopping list. Government agencies can use it to get what they need, whether it's cloud computing, cybersecurity, IT solutions, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And understanding these documents, especially the invoicing part, it's important to get right. It can make or break the whole thing. Accurate invoices,
Yeah.
make sure you get paid and keep a good relationship
Sure,
with the government.
you don't want to mess up your payments just because of a misplaced comma, right?
Exactly.
But it's more than that. It shows that you understand the process, that you're a true professional.
Right. Yeah. Before we dive too deep in all that, though, let's try to understand some of these acronyms first. Like, I'm seeing BYOD and CTC here. I'm guessing they're not talking about casual Fridays at the Pentagon.
No, not quite. BYOD is bring your own device. It's becoming more common, as government agencies try to be more flexible with work environments.
Oh, okay.
And then CDC is comply to connect. That's a cybersecurity principle. Basically, you got to make sure your devices are meeting specific security standards before they can access government networks.
So we're seeing some bigger trends here. Cloud-based services, cybersecurity, adapting to all this changing technology.
Exactly. As you get deeper into the Ascend BPA, you'll see these themes everywhere. In the services offered, in the requirements, everything.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, let's look at a few more that seem important. I got CAGE, DIB, and FedRAMP. Do any of those ring a bell?
Oh yeah, those are critical. So CAGE is commercial and government entity. Think of it like a social security number for your business, but for the government system. It's how they identify and track every entity they work with, make sure everything's documented.
And no flying under the radar.
Nope. And then you have DIB, Defense Industrial Base. This one's all about national security. The DIB is any organization that's involved in making goods and services that are vital to our defense.
Okay.
It's a good reminder that even IT services can play a part in national security.
Wow, that puts things in perspective.
Okay.
And last, we've got FedRAMP. I have a feeling this is a big one.
You'd be right. Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program. This is like the gold standard for cloud security. If you're a cloud provider working with the government, you need to be FedRAMP certified. It ensures that your systems are meeting the requirements, that the information is protected.
So if you're offering cloud services through Ascend, FedRAMP is a must-have. It shows that you take security seriously, that the government can trust you with their data.
Exactly. These acronyms, they seem like jargon, I know, but they really highlight what's important when doing business with the government. Security, accountability, compliance.
Okay, so we've got the lingo down. Now, the main event, invoicing. This is where things get really interesting.
Definitely. So the attachment XX invoice formats document, it lays out two main ways to invoice. FFP, RTO, LH, that's firm fixed price, requirements, task order, labor hour, and then OLM, TNM, that's order level materials, time and materials.
Those sound pretty different. What are the key differences? Why should we care?
Okay, so think of it like this. FFP, RTO, LH, it's like ordering a pizza. You know what you're getting, the price is set. You know when it's going to be delivered.
Okay.
This works well for projects that are straightforward. You know what needs to be done and what the deliverable is.
Right.
Now, OLM, TNM, that's more like catering a custom event. You're billed for the ingredients, the chef's time, all that.
Yeah.
It's more flexible, good for projects that are always changing, where there are a lot of unknowns.
Oh, I like that analogy. So FFP is for predictable projects, and OLM is for when things might get a little spicy.
Exactly. And the invoice formats, they match these different scenarios.
So how do these different formats change what you actually put on the invoice?
There are some data elements that are always needed, like your company information, invoice date, and of course the CAGE code.
There it is again, the acronyms.
Right. But then there are data elements that are specific to each format.
Oh.
So FFP, RTO, LH, got to list each service. The price, unit of measure, quantity used. It's all about proving that the final price matches what was agreed upon.
Gotcha. So you got to be really careful with those calculations, make sure everything adds up.
Absolutely. And then OLM, T&M, even more detail needed for your costs. Direct costs, indirect costs, handling fees, profit
So
margins.
it's all about transparency, showing how you got to that final price.
Exactly. And the documents, they reference specific sections of the FAR, the Federal Acquisition Regulation, to help you calculate and document these costs.
Okay, so we're getting a sense of how detailed these invoices need to be. But I got to be honest, looking at these examples, it's a lot.
I hear. That's why it's important to take it step by step, understand the reasoning behind each piece of data, and that's exactly what we're going to do in the next part of this deep dive.
All right, so stay tuned, everyone. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of these invoice examples and see how it all works in a real-world scenario.
Yeah.
It might seem like a maze right now, but we'll find our way out together, I promise.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the ASCEND BPA.
All right, so we've kind of laid the groundwork here. Got a handle on some acronyms. We know the two main invoice formats, FFP, RTO, LH, and OLM, T&M. But I got to say, these documents they're a lot.
Oh, yeah, they can be, but they're thorough.
Right, I get that. That's what those examples are for, right?
Exactly. Let's walk through like a hypothetical scenario using those examples in the document. It'll help us see how it all works in practice.
Yeah, perfect. So let's start with the FFP, RTO, LH example. We've got our fictional company here, ABC Worldwide. They've just gotten a task order under Ascend. They're ready to invoice. They want to get paid.
As they should. So the example, it lays it all out in a table, easy to follow. And right away, you see all those identifiers we talked about, the GSA, UEI, GSA, MAS, contract number, BPA award number, all that.
Like a contractor's ID card.
Exactly. And remember, the BPA pool and subpool number, here it is, 11. So ABC Worldwide is offering services in that specific category.
Okay, so the invoice is like tagged to the right service category. What about the time frame for their services?
That's the task order period of performance, or to op-op. In this example, it's from October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023, a full year.
Got it. So they've laid out who they are, the right service pool, the time period. What's next?
The services themselves. The example uses seal lines and subsil lines to break down the different types of services ABC Worldwide is providing. So like CLORN 00001, that's large server services from Cloud Inc. And then to get even more specific, that CLAN split into 3 subsil lines. Each one is a different part of those services.
Like nested folders on your computer.
Yeah.
To keep everything organized.
Exactly. And each subsil line has its own breakdown. The service provider, service period, price, unit of measure.
Okay, let's go through one of those step by step. Subsil line 00001A, for example. What are the key things here?
So first you see the CSP universal identifier. It's like a product code for that specific service. In this case, it's UPC-LSER, probably links back to Cloud Inc.'s catalog.
So everything's standardized. Everyone knows exactly what's being offered. What about the cost? Got to make sure they get this part right.
Right. The BPA catalog service price is 1.2345 per unit. But here's the thing. ABC Worldwide negotiated a 50% discount for this task order.
Nice. So the CHUA service price, that's what they're actually billing, is way lower.
Yeah, it comes down to 0.6173 per unit. And to get the final cost for that sub-CLN, got to look at the unit of measure, which is, in this case, comp per hour.
So they're billing based on how much compute time is used.
Exactly. And the example says they used 100 units. So the total price for sub-CLN 00001A is $61.73.
It's like a formula. Service price times units consumed equals total cost.
Right. And the example shows the same breakdown for other sub-CLNs. Different services, prices, units, all that.
So the FFP, RTO, LH format can handle all these different services, but still keep the documentation consistent.
Exactly. And remember, ABC Worldwide also added that optional scilia for their own tracking, so you can add your own details if you need to.
Okay, so that's FFP, RTO, LH. What about OLM, T&M? How is that different?
This example shows how flexible OLM T&M is, when you don't know the final cost up front.
So they're tracking costs as they go instead of having a set price per unit.
Right. So ABC Worldwide here is providing cybersecurity forensics services. And instead of 1-2 service price, we have a BPA catalog service price and a 2 catalog ceiling price.
So that ceiling price is like a limit on what they can bill.
Exactly. Keeps costs under control. And in this case, they negotiated a lower ceiling price.
Smart. What else do they need to show with this format?
They got to break down all their costs. Since the price isn't fixed, you'll see direct costs, indirect costs, fixed handling factor, profit.
Transparency is key. Got to show the government the math.
Yep. The example even shows how to calculate the subtotal price, adding up all those costs. Then they factor in the unit of measure, the quantity, to get the final price for that service.
It's like a puzzle, but I'm starting to get it. These examples really help.
Yeah, they make it so much clearer, and they give you a template to follow so you can create invoices that are accurate, compliant, and get you paid on time.
So, listener, are you feeling a little more confident now?
Remember, these are just examples. Your invoice might look different depending on your services, the terms of your task order, but the principles are the same.
Like a roadmap, the general direction, but you might have to adjust your route.
Right. And speaking of navigating, we've talked about the general Ascend BPA, but each pool and subpool can have its own specific requirements, its own little quirks.
It's like exploring a city. You might have a map of the main sites, but you want to wander down the side streets, see what's hidden.
Exactly. And that's what we'll help you do in the next part of our deep dive. We'll give you the tools and resources you need to dig into your chosen pool and subpool, and make sure you're navigating the Ascend DPA like a pro.
All right, welcome back. We've gone over a lot. We figured out those crazy acronyms, broke down the two main invoice formats. But like we said before, there's more to this Ascend BPA than it seems.
It's like an iceberg, We've seen the tip, but there's a whole lot more underneath.
Yeah, and that's where the real adventure begins.
Yeah.
Figuring out the specifics of your pool and subpool.
Remember those categories we talked about? Each pool and subpool, it's a specific service area within Ascend. Cloud computing, cybersecurity, data management, all sorts of things.
So it's like choosing your own path within the Ascend world. You got to find the one that matches your skills and what you offer.
Exactly. And each path has its own challenges, right? Each pool and subpool has its own rules, requirements, best practices.
Okay, so how do we even start to figure this all out? It's like I have a map, but no compass.
Don't worry, we'll get you there. First step, the Ascend BPA website. It's got everything you need to know about Ascend, tons of resources.
Like the official tourist info center for Ascend.
Yeah, something like that. On the website, you'll see a list of all the pools and subpools. Each one has a description of the services it covers. Take your time, look through them, see which one fits you best.
Okay, I got it. So we found our pool and subpool. What's next? Do we just jump in and hope for the best?
Not quite. Now it's time to dig into the details. The Ascend BPA website has FAQs, training materials, links to regulations. You can find answers to common questions, figure out compliance, even get invoice templates.
So it's like having a tour guide with us, showing us the important stuff.
Exactly. And don't forget about talking to other people.
You mean networking with other contractors?
Yeah. The GSA Interact forum is great for that. You can connect with contracting officers, industry experts, other contractors who are already working in your pool and subpool.
So it's like sharing travel tips with people who've been there before.
Exactly. You can ask questions, get advice, learn from their experiences.
Okay. The Ascend BPA website and GSA Interact, those are important. Anything else we should have with us?
Industry events and conferences are good too. You can meet people face-to-face, build relationships, stay up to date on the latest stuff.
Like going to a travel expo, getting all the brochures.
And of course, if you're really lost, you can always contact the GSA directly. They have support teams that can answer your questions and help you through the process.
Well, that's good to know. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the main takeaway?
It all comes down to knowledge. The more you know about your pool and subpool, the easier it'll be to work with the Ascend BPA. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Talk to people. Use all the resources you can.
Like with any adventure, being prepared is key. And with the right tools, the right mindset, you can navigate this whole Ascend BPA thing and be successful. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We hope this has helped you understand the world of government contracting a little better. Happy contracting.